Everybody, welcome back. We're doing another Marvel Future Revolution video, and this one is probably one of the most requested videos is related to the builds and skills for Scarlet Witch. So we're going to take what I'm going to call a deep dive into some of that. I've been doing some work behind the scenes, talking to some people. I still think there's work to do to determine certain things, but I wanted to give you guys some information based on what I'm kind of seeing here. So I sometimes will dive into spreadsheets. I try not to because it does take an insane amount of time to do it and a lot of analysis, and sometimes I just don't have time for it. So anybody's out there who does this sort of thing and likes it, definitely hit me up, because doing stuff like this is, or if you do this, you know, right when stuff comes out, we can pump out content and all that kind of thing. So anyway, we're going to look at Scarlet Witch, deep dive into skills, talk about it, and we can theory craft a little bit below. Tell me where you think you are with some of this. If you're new to the channel, check out that Discord link in the description below. Easiest way to follow along with content. If you want to help support the channel, there is a YouTube membership thing somewhere over there. I don't know. I always appreciate it. And if you just want to help the algorithm out, hammer down like buttons, notification bell, subscribe, all that sort of thing. Let's go.
Bring me WolverThor!
So my brain, how does my brain work? I'm not going to really get into that too much, but I need to see micro and macro of things. Like, I need to see all the detail and all these different things. I like to read them. I like to scroll and, you know, just look at all the different stuff. And I like to see a bigger picture of, okay, these are all these type of things, and what is the summation of all the micro? And that helps me sort of funnel in on something that might be the best. Now, I'm not going to go through each skill on here, because what I've done is I've gone through all of these outside of the basics and ultimates, which maybe I could look at later, but I mean, they're important. They're good, right? And we're going to get into build stuff a little bit later, but I've taken all of these skills, and what I have done is put it on a massive spreadsheet. So I took all of the skills here. So the way I set it up is each section here, as you kind of come across, there's a line. What I mean by that, so it'll say line 1, then it says skill A, B, C, D, and then it's like line 2, line 3. What I mean by that, just so we're clear, all right, I'm gonna hide this for one more second. Line 1, when you're looking at skills, is this one. This is line 2, this is line 3, this is line 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. Okay? It's a simple way to think about it, so you don't have to get hung up on the name of everything for now. So when I talk about that, that's what it means. I have the names on here, but I did want to bring that up just so you understood that nomenclature when I'm talking about it. Okay. So I've taken all of these, I've put them in there, and I've also added cooldown, stam, dam percentage, debuffs, guard break, damage percent per cooldown, and damage percent per stam, because I think that sort of thing's important. It's like, well, yeah, it does 900,000 billion, you know, damage percentage, but it takes, you know, 7 years to get the cooldown for it. Stuff like that. So I like to also look at the cooldown percentage. So you know, you see the line 1 here, the general name for it. I put the classes in here. Some of the stuff I still need to look at with this, and this is why I don't want to say this is the build, this is the PvE build, this is the PvP build, because it takes not only what I've done here, but it takes looking at animations. It takes practicing against other people, seeing if you can land a skill. It takes practice. You know what? I need some barrier. I need some iframe. You know what? I don't like the ultimate because I'm exposed for too long, and I can get hit too easily, and sometimes those things get countered, etc. Now, builds can evolve over time, but I think initial builds, if you come out and say this is the build, you gotta be careful with that. Even if it's the highest damage percentage, that doesn't mean it's the best build, because you gotta factor in stam and cooldowns as well. So, having said that, now again, I don't want to read off every single one of these. You guys can go in the game and see them. I'd like for you to just kind of understand that this is some of the stuff that I've got on here. Now, one of the things that I want to warn everybody about is line 4. It's the language of demise. When you look at the language of demise in game, and actually, hold on a second. Let's pull this up because you won't be able to necessarily see. Well, you know what? What I'll do is I'll zoom in a bit here. So let's see. All right. So language of demise is, so let me see. So with language of demise, it talks about unstable, and it talks about curse throughout the skill. Now you can see my debuffs here, right? You guys got that? You can see it. Great. Now that's skill A. Skill B has silence and curse. Skill C has, you can see I have unstable question mark curse. And then on skill D, I have unstable question mark silence curse. So the weird part about this is this one says curse. All of them say curse of constraint, curse of weakness, which basically decreases the attack percentage and people are unable to dodge. And it also does damage if those people try to do those things. All of this line does that and says that in their line. So, but also what you'll find in here is that the first one also says unstable, which unstable is supposed to increase stam and dodge consumption percentage, means it's supposed to cost more. The second one does not say unstable, skill B. Skill B does not say unstable. Skill C does say unstable. And it looks like skill D does say unstable. But now this is one of the things I've actually tested. Shout out to Rob. Is he and I went in there and sort of tried to land these skills, and none of them give unstable. So I've let the devs know this, that there's either a text error here or there's a coding error. And I think it's important that they fix this as quick as they can, because if somebody doesn't recognize that, it might be a problem. So that's one of the things that I find very useful in going through stuff like this, and why I want to do additional testing, is to kind of see some of that. But having said all of that, that was the biggest thing that I found as far as a problem right now. Like I said, I want to go through the animations, the speeds. So we've got, witchcraft in the last 2. We've got hex in 6. We've got witchcraft again in 5. Chaos in 4, hex in 3, chaos in 2, hex in 1. So you get 3 witchcrafts, 3 hexes, 2 chaos. So the question starts becoming, when you're looking at gear and these skills, is, okay, how much damage does some of this stuff do? So looking at chaos first off, if you look at line 2 here, we'll zoom in a little bit. If you look at line 2, the damage percent, 262, 438, 456. And then there's actually a 995 there, which is pretty strong. Cooldown of 23, and then stam of 28. It's okay. Not great. And then the other chaos one we've got, which is, again, this is where you're getting a whole bunch of debuffs. 344, 419, 429, and 519 again in skill D, which it's like, okay. And then again, 25 for the cooldown, 28 for the stamina. So you always want to try to do the higher damage ones if you can. Now, I do like chaos in that regard. I like this runic wither, and I like this, what was this one up here? Chaos sphere, which is, just based on looking at the dots. You've got dot unstable. You've got, now again, runic wither here does not technically have an unstable. And what I also don't like about it is it's got a really small range and it's hard to land. So again, that's another reason why you can't just, like at its surface value, look at these and say, that's what I like. I like that because of that reason, because it might not be that great. Now, that's just one of the abilities I've looked at. Again, I got to look at a lot more of those to decide this is the build. But those are the things that I like to pick up when I'm talking about doing some of these deep dives, because these deep dives are important to understand some of that thing. So one of the things, to kind of summarize some of this stuff for right now, I took all of this. All right. I took all of this and I made a real cute little summation thing. All right. So let me see. Let me make sure you guys can see this here. So, all right. Yeah, you guys can kind of see that. Let's do this. Move me and let's go like this. All right. So we have this summation for each one of these, and I conditionally formatted it. So you can see red is basically bad, green is good, yellow is closer to bad, blue is closer to good. Don't judge me on colors. If you want to have a color debate, there's someone down the hall you can talk to. I've also added debuffs and guard break in here just so you could kind of see it. So, and I've got line, skills A, B, and C, so on and so forth. So as I'm looking through these, you know, I'm really going, all right, what do I like? Now, I like a lot of these cooldowns. The cooldowns for are pretty solid. They're not bad. Now, again, what is that green cooldown based off of? You know, I think it was between like 0 and, what's it look like there? I don't know, 19 or something like that. So it ranges a little bit. Now, I could adjust those values some, and I might need to at one point because it's kind of, I don't know, as I look at 19, I'm like, yeah, is that really green? I don't know. But the point is, it gives me an idea of what I could initially focus on. So as I look at this, and then stam, and then damage percentage, I love something that's got all greens and blues. All right, so 5B, look at that, Witchcraft. That one all the way across the board has got greens and blues. All right, I like that one. Again, I gotta look at the actual animation. How long does it take? How big does it land? And no debuffs on it, no guard break there. Outside of the guard break, not too bad. Let's see, let's try to find another one's decent with all across the board. All right, another Witchcraft here, 7B. All right, that's another one that, you know, wow, look at all these Witchcraft ones. Witchcraft ones across the board so far look like they've got good numbers. Again, the guard break there, that one's got a slow. We're not talking about a high guard break. Here's a Hex one that's got 1 yellow. Another Hex one that's got a yellow, but it's damaged. The yellow one here is Stam. As far as everything goes, that's the one I'm least worried about. Let's see here. We got a red. I don't like that. Chaos has a lot of yellow in the percentage here as far as cost per damage percentage per cooldown and Stam. That's not a huge deal, so you might want to come look over here. Man, this is tough. Maybe this Chaos one here, you like the C. If you're looking at that when you're poking it in that line. We've got some Hex ones in here, bunch of green, bunch of blue. Actually, all of these Hex outside of these two Stams are pretty good. Actually, this entire tree here, or this entire line is all pretty solid outside of a couple reds and a yellow. That's pretty good for Hex. This Chaos 2 here, again, pretty good. We don't like that red. It's pretty low damage. We've got a little bit more cost at cooldown Stam here. And then this top Hex one, if you know, this is a nice one for a real short cooldown, but the damage isn't good. So if I'm looking at that versus the second one, I'm probably going to take the second one because the only bad part about it is the Stam. So I should say B, because I don't want to confuse people. So your second line. It's first line, B skill. So when I look at this again, high level, you know, the Chaos stuff, it's got to make sure, like, the only reason I'm going to lean in that, even in a PvP situation, is if I'm getting a lot of debuffs down, if I'm actually controlling a character. And that's the next part of this stuff where you have to really, really think about what you get out of a skill, and why I want to look at the animations, how hard it is to land, stuff like that. Because if you're not able to do that stuff, specifically in like a PvP type situation, it doesn't matter. It just straight up doesn't. So right now, since I know this is going to be asked, if I had to pick, and this is not my pick, but if you're like really wondering, I mean, I'm definitely going to be looking at Hex. Hex looks pretty good as far as base numbers go. It doesn't, you know, and even in this one here, you've got some subdue here. Granted, that is with a guard break thing. Some of the PvP I like looking at that subdue. You know, once you're under half guard break, where you can get a subdue in there, maybe do a little bit more damage to get a full guard break. And then once they're guard break again, hit them with a big hit. I really kind of like that. That's something to think about PvP wise. If you can get, you know, like a high, I mean, some of your highest guard break is in Hex here in this line 3. But there's some medium in the Chaos, which is considered PvP. This Chaos is pretty low. But if you can do a lot of guard break, get this subdue in there once they're under 50%, have them subdued for, I think it's 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds, and then pull down more guard break, quickly guard break them after that, you're going to control them for quite a bit. I mean, think about that, where you can, you know, silence somebody for a little bit, get some guard break down, subdue them, you know, get a little bit more guard break down, guard break them actually, get a big hit on them. That's the type of thing in PvP where you're going to want to be looking at, where it's just lock somebody down, lock them down. Status effects will matter with her if you're not you know, finding a way where you're just blasting somebody. So I'd look into that. I'm going to keep looking at this, but I do like Hex. Witchcraft does have some things at surface value that could be interesting. I want to look at the abilities, the animations. I do like that the one Witchcraft down here that has good colors across the board does have a debuff with slow. I like that a lot. The other ones down here, there is a defense down in this Witchcraft one, which, you know, again, damage percent per stam isn't the biggest deal in the world. You know, you do get some okay numbers here, but these do matter. You know, I don't want to act like they do, because it's amount of damage per each stam you use, or amount of damage per each cooldown of second that you use. So that's what I've got for now. Again, I know this is sort of a different sort of deep dive. I don't want to read all these skills to you guys. I did that once before where I kind of went through them and gave you guys my initial impression from them. I wanted to show you kind of what I'm working on here, what I've got, an initial sort of like, all right, where are we at? What do we think is going to be coming? Where am I potentially leaning? I am still not 6-starring any of her gear. I'm not. Okay, I'm waiting to do some of this further testing. Now, if you are a Kraken or a Whale, have at it, because you can get tons of gear sets. You can play around all the time. You can change it later. I can't do that. I know a lot of the player base can't do that as well, and that's why I try to be a little bit slower with some of the stuff to fine tune it, to make sure that I get it as honed in as I can. So right now we're not at the build yet, but we will get there. Let me know again in the comments below what your thoughts are here. If there's something that you think that I'm not covering properly, if there's something that just jumped out at you, like, hey, make sure you consider this. Again, I'm not doing the builds yet, but I do like kind of the direction this is heading in. We mentioned the Discord link. Hammer, if you want to help the YouTube algorithm, hammer down like button, click notification bell, subscribe, all that sort of thing. Tell your aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins, grandma, grandpa, just because, why not, right? Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.